WandaVision, want WandaVision. I never in a million years would have guessed that my love for this project would be as high as it is. Hey there guys, how are you? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to yet another installment of TV Thoughts. And as always, I thank you all so much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy your stay. And this is the next installment in the Marvel Studios playlist. We are chugging right along. Time is flying by so fast, isn't it? Already in March of 2021, and we're right hot on the trails of the release of Black Widow, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, all these amazing projects on Disney Plus that are coming out. Which, speaking of course, the topic of today's video, WandaVision. Yeah, I know, finally I'm talking about this show. Everybody has been asking me for my candid thoughts. What did I think of WandaVision? What did I think of this thing? What did I think of that episode? I'm gonna tell you right now. And anyone who follows me on Twitter knows that I have some things to say about this piece. Set 3 weeks after the events of Avengers Endgame, Wanda and Vision are played once again by Lizzy Olsen and Paul Bettany, and they're living in an idyllic suburban life in the town of Westview, New Jersey. And they're trying to conceal their true identities and their true nature. But as they begin to enter new decades and encounter television sitcom tropes, the couple suspects that things are not as they seem. And as per with all this Marvel talk on my channel, just in case you guys have been living under a rock for the past couple of months, yes, this video is going to contain heavy spoilers. So just in case you have not seen an episode of WandaVision yet, what the heck are you doing? Pause the video right here, go ahead and binge all 9 episodes, then come right back. We'll talk a lot more. But like, oh my fucking balls. Okay, where to begin? Because this series was absolutely batshit crazy. And I think one of the biggest praises that I can give this show is that it has its way of reeling you in. It has an excellent grasp on what a cliffhanger is supposed to be. WandaVision always knows when and how to zero you in on making sure you tune in week by week. And that I did. Sometimes late at night to a crapped out Disney Plus because everybody was trying to watch WandaVision at the same time I was. Oh, I'm gonna miss that. And not only that, every single episode has a lot of really clever homages and Easter eggs thrown into the mix just for us. Which, I gotta talk about this. Speaking of homages, the sitcom setting, freaking genius, man. Such an amazing idea and an amazing touch. And WandaVision goes through all sorts of eras of sitcom glory, paying some great tribute. And it pays some great tribute to shows like Bewitched, The Brady Bunch, Malcolm in the Middle, Modern Family, and, you know, Full House, but that's shit. It's not just sitcoms, though. Especially as you get into the later episodes, it'll look a lot more like a big-budget Marvel film. But I loved how even in Phase 4, Marvel was willing to explore different genres. And I gotta commend them for being so willing to try out something so utterly new to them. And they freaking nailed it, man. Speaking of nailing it, let's talk about Lizzy Olsen. She honestly deserves to win every single television acting award possible for her turn as Wanda. I would honestly say this is her career best at this point. I'm serious. She's freaking great. And she has so much range that she gets to explore here. She gets to go through all the happy times with her family. She gives birth to twin boys in this alternate universe who end up being Wiccan and Speed from the comics. But she's also in a deep, dark place. And I love the whole idea of her being the one to end up creating this whole sitcom universe. Actually, that was one of my main theories the first couple of episodes. I was just sitting there thinking, is Wanda behind this? Can Wanda be the villain? And she sort of is, for a while. Regardless of where she is emotionally, you always understand her actions, her objectives, and her motivations. I mean, what's her motivation for doing this? To me, it's crystal clear. She's grieving. She can't stand the fact that Vision is gone. So she created this alternate world where her and Vision could grow old together, all in the sitcom realm, which we learn in one of the later episodes was basically Wanda's comfort food growing up. And that's honestly one of the most emotional parts of the series, too. That whole 8th episode, as well as the ending to the finale, like, they got me, man. Marvel got me again. Now I gotta talk about Paul Bettany as Vision, which before I do, I better not see anybody down in the comments telling me that I look like 80s Vision. I know that's what you want to say. I've gotten that so much over these last few weeks, and I appreciate it, but please knock it off. But seriously, Paul Bettany is so damn good once again here. I love his acting. I love his willingness to stand up to Wanda when she tries to roll the credits on him. You know, kind of playing off the whole post-credits reveal angle. And you want to know what I love most about Vision in this? He's funny. I can only imagine Paul Bettany must have been having so much fun playing around with this sitcom format. My favorite joke of his is in the Modern Family episode homage where he's sitting in the confessional and he's absolutely baffled that he's sitting there for an interview. So much so that he's pulling the lapel mic off of his thing and going off the set. Is It was great. In case you couldn't tell, I really love the meta-theatrical stuff like that. In case you couldn't tell, I really love all the meta-theatrical stuff. And Vision turned from somebody who I was kind of indifferent towards, and he turned into, honestly, one of the most emotional aspects of this whole universe. I'm serious, and this is a spoiler, but this whole series was basically Vision's big send-off, because those of you who've seen Infinity War and Endgame will know that. But regardless, I will miss Paul Bettany dearly in this role. You want to know who my favorite character in this entire series was? Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau. I loved her character. She is such a badass. Someone who's that chomping at the bit to get back into the Hex after all it did to her head. I can't wait to see more from her in Captain Marvel 2. I also really love how this show, and eventually all these other shows that Marvel's going to be pumping out on Disney Plus this year, I love how it's giving them an opportunity to allow these smaller characters from the movies a chance to really shine. You know, like Darcy and Agent Jimmy Woo. Kat Dennings and Randall Park are both hilarious in this, by the way. I'd also just like to say that Randall Park carrying coffee to the sword briefing is literally me every time I walk into a play rehearsal. Just throwing that out there, telling you a little bit more about me personally. That's an entire mood. And that's another thing. I also really loved the introduction of Sword. I loved this angle. It's almost like a behind-the-scenes X-File type mood with their scenes. I mean, seriously, this whole angle led to a bunch of fans calling for an X-Files spin-off with Darcy and Agent Woo at the helm. Which, I'm not saying I'm opposed to that. It would be very fun, but show kind of already exists. I mean, I can't believe I'm about to say this. I freaking loved WandaVision. Loved it. I love how dark it was able to go, and I cannot wait to see it all tie in with Doctor Strange 2 next year, which figures to be even darker. As much as I love it, though, I do have a couple of issues with WandaVision. Now, I know, before you start calling from my head, I realize that a lot of you might think that I'm just the fickle critic who's just looking for anything to nitpick. I'm not. Like I said, I really loved this series. I can't overemphasize that quite enough. And just to give you fair warning, these nitpicks do lead into heavy spoiler territory, so just to give you a fair heads up. I first gotta talk about Kathryn Hahn as the nosy neighbor Agnes, and this is an excellent performance. I've got no qualms or problems with her as an actress here. I don't even have problems with this character. It honestly might be my favorite work I've seen from her, period. And this is where the heavy spoilers come in. This will all lead into my nitpick, though. Agnes is actually Agatha Harkness from the comics. This was something a lot of people correctly predicted, and Hahn is extremely menacing once she becomes that witch. I really love the look of this villain. I love that they gave her more of a backstory, showing her in the Salem witch hunts of the late 1600s. And Kathryn Hahn, as I mentioned, can be legitimately terrifying and menacing once she becomes Agatha Harkness. And I would honestly say she's one of the more fleshed out villains in the entire MCU, with a huge asterisk next to that phrase because it does have the advantage of being a series rather than a movie, kind of giving that villain more time to develop. But here's where the nitpick comes in, and it's really getting down to the detail. The song Agatha All Along. Me and a buddy of mine would sing that song non-stop on some of our Disney Plus watch parties. Good times. I mean, the music in general is so damn catchy. I don't have a problem with the music or the lyrics or anything like that. My issue actually is where Agatha All Along was placed. I would have personally much rather had it placed towards the beginning of episode 8 rather than smack right at the end of episode 7. Because with the latter, what they actually did, it just felt to me like they were hammering the reveal in. And I was sitting there like, okay, yeah, I get it. She's the villain. You know what I mean? Like, the way they did it, it just felt like they were over-explaining the reveal a little bit too much. And Okay, I gotta talk about this big surprise actor reveal also, because it wasn't Magneto like I was predicting. It wasn't Reed Richards either. Monica Rambeau was talking about this aerospace engineer guy that she was talking about that would be heavily invested into the Hex. Wasn't Reed Richards. The big actor reveal was Evan Peters as Quicksilver. You heard me right. It's not Taylor Johnson, it's Evan Peters from the Fox X-Men movies coming back to reprise his role as Pietro Maximoff. Yes, everyone was so hyped to see this guy as Pietro, myself included. I was sitting there episode 5 like, holy shit. I mean, this could open up so many doors to other levels of the multiverse. I mean, maybe you could get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and put him in No Way Home, which I still think is gonna happen, but, you know, that's not important right now. No. And I was so hyped for this guy until it was revealed in the finale that Marvel basically bait and switched us. And man, I really learned a valuable lesson with this Evan Peters angle. Never, ever, ever get your hopes up too high. Because those of you who follow me on Twitter know that I had some wild theories in regards to where WandaVision was leading. And alas, none of those came to fruition. Besides that, I know you all have seen WandaVision, but if you haven't, what the heck are you waiting for, man? I'm gonna give WandaVision an A-. Also, not every single episode is going to have a mid or a post-credits scene. Keep your eye out for those towards the end of the series. Some really nice link-ups to Doctor Strange, too. I'll just leave it at that. But this is all just my opinion, of course, about WandaVision. Do you guys agree with me? Do you not? Do you think anything is gonna top WandaVision in Phase 4 coming up soon? I would love to discuss all of these thoughts and then some all down there in the comments with you guys. Because I love it. I love discussing cinema and all things entertainment with you guys. And if these topics sound appealing to you, or if you haven't already, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can. If you do, you beautiful subscribers will be the first ones to know anytime a new upload hits the channel. And it's also free. And if you guys liked the video also, please be sure to leave a thumbs up on your way out. I'd really, really appreciate that. And as always, look out for more exciting content hitting this channel very, very soon. You guys are awesome. With all that being said, back talk commence!